So Soto, I just recently finished Resident Evil 9, and I kind of
Nice.
want to talk about the overall experience. Now, I've played through it once. I am working towards a plat, but that's besides the point. But I kind of want to see where this ranks a little bit with like all the other Resident Evils in a way. But because some people have loved it, some people have had questions about it, like, oh, it's too short. And my thing is, all these games are technically kind of short. If you really think about it, the average is 8 to 10 hours. That's what a Resident Evil game is. Some of us take a little longer because we might be exploring, blah blah blah. So I just kind of want to go over the experience a little bit, answer whatever questions,
Mhm.
and I'm going to start off, which I know you're okay with, but if anyone's actually listened this far, spoilers. There's going to be spoilers, and pretty much if you're watching this
Spoilers.
video, obviously you probably already know what's going to happen. Before I get into it, yeah, we talk about buying games day one, and because obviously the price and stuff like that. And Resident Evil is one of the series I don't mind paying a day one price for the most part. Maybe not so much for the remakes. I'll wait. I'm doing it early because I don't want spoilers. I like the series enough where I'm like, all right, I kind of want to play this going blind.
Yeah.
And every game I
Okay.
play, I like going in. I'll do my own playthrough, and we've talked about this. Then I'll look at like trophies and like, can I do this? Do I want to do this? But I most of the time I like that experience just to be organic. Whatever happens, happens. I actually stayed spoiler free on my entire playthrough of Resident Evil 9. The only thing I knew was the trailers that came out beforehand, all like the demos and stuff like that, which we've all seen. And I
Yeah.
think the real reason I wanted this one to stay separate is because the big rumor is this Leon's final Resident Evil? Is he going to die? Because they showed in that trailer he's getting sick. And, so I was like, shit, is this the end of Leon? So I did not want that to be spoiled. I'm like, all right. So I don't mind. And as adults, we're allowed to spend our money how we want. So there's a lot I loved about the game. And before I get into it, I need people to understand where, I played so many Resident Evils. I played it pretty much every main entry. I played a lot of side games, and a lot of them are shit, like Operation Raccoon City shit. But real quick, my go is for me is Resident Evil 2. And I'm only talking about originals. I'm not putting remakes in this because, like, my
Yeah.
original experience, Resident Evil 2
Mhm.
is the GOAT. Near
Oh yeah.
perfect, right below that's Resident Evil 4. Now, when people say Resident Evil 4 is the best game, I don't, I'm fine with that. Like, that debate between 2 and 4 being the best game in the series is a fun debate, and that's personal taste. This isn't like a Jordan LeBron James. There's only one right answer for that. Here, like if someone said 4 is the best, I'm not going to be like, you're wrong. If you said like 8 is the best, I'm like, okay, well, you're fucking wrong. But that's just me. For me personally, I always said 2 is the GOAT. It took everything that one did perfectly, or
Yeah.
one did, made it better. The
Expanded
fact
on
that,
it too. Yeah.
yes, and also two separate stories. Whereas one,
Hmm.
it was kind of this almost the same playthrough with the same puzzles and stuff like that. And then I put like great Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 7, because I liked it brought kind of that survival horror back to you. I mean, you shit your pants at Jack Bauer
I
or
didn't.
Bauer,
I
excuse
didn't.
me, Baker.
I didn't like that one at all. No. I mean, I mean, it was good, but I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy this experience.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're not a big fan of, which is funny because you've beaten the last four of them, five of them actually,
I
five,
never
four,
would have
five.
thought that. I never would have thought that at all. Well, 5 and 6, that was
Yeah,
really our
but
call.
that's more action, but still, you technically beat them. So,
I
and then
did. I did. I was very drunk doing it, but yes, I did.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with our Resident Evil 5 plat. But after 1 and 7, I have like the good tier, and that's where I have Code Veronica and 8. Code
Yeah.
Veronica, I've loved and I speak highly of, but with the controls, it is the hardest
Yeah.
game. You can screw yourself if you make one mistake as far as like the supply box goes between the two. So, and there's bad dialogue. Like, obviously, for that time, there's a lot of bad dialogue in Resident Evil, but I can't wait for the remake to fix a lot of this up. And then I have the
Mhm.
fun category, which is Resident Evil 5 and 6, but that's only because I played it with a buddy. So, and then
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have mid, which is Resident Evil 0, and then shit, which is Resident Evil 3. I'm going to leave it at that. But Resident Evil 9, I put in the great with 1 and 7. I'm high on this
Really?
because yes, it's again, going with the overall experience. I love what they did the first or third person. the fact that you can choose. You can play both characters first person. You can play both characters third person. They obviously suggest play Grace as first person for the horror, play Leon for the third person for action, which I did. But the fact that they gave you the option, because that was the big thing with 7 and 8, that it was just first person only. I also think I put this in great because I think Grace is a perfect addition to the Resident Evil lore, crazy lore. Whereas like Ethan Winters and Mia Winters just felt not part of it. It was like their own story. Yes, Chris Redfield had like a cameo and kind of was an 8. It was nice to have Leon back, but if you don't know who Grace is or why she's important, main villains kidnap her and they're like, you're the key, you're the key. And you're thinking, oh shit, we have another Wesker's son. Oh shit, there's just something here. And yes, she is actually the daughter of Oswald Spencer, the guy who owns the mansion from the very first Resident Evil.
Oh yeah, Spencer Mansion, yeah.
And so they think she is the key to open up this Elpis, to release it, the final thing that Spencer ever created. And so you're like, oh, because you think this is going to be another bad bloodline, this and that. What you come to find out is what Elpis really is. Elpis is a cure. The thing about Grace is there's nothing special about her. Spencer loved her because she was a normal person. She was his hope, his atonement. There's actually a scene where Alyssa Ashcroft is interviewing Spencer and kind of shows Grace, and he's just like, she's perfect. And the fact that there's nothing wrong, it's a fun twist because you always think, oh, she's got this blood, this mutation. No, she's just a regular human. Yes, she's a Spencer, but the villains think because they know her lineage that somehow her blood, she knows the answer to release Elpis, which will be this whole new T virus, G virus, this new thing that destroys the world, when in reality, it's to cure. And it is the biggest, craziest twist if you really think about it. Because if you think about Resident Evil lore, it's about, oh shit, they bombed Raccoon City, or nuked it. They did that as a cover up. Oh shit, the Tyrant, Mr. X, Nemesis, this and that. There's gotta say the president's daughter. Where you know what I mean though? Everything is always bad and you're trying to fix it. Whereas I like the fact that the whole game you're like, why is Grace important? There's more to the story and there's nothing. When you get to the final choice, you have two choices, but if you make one choice and then you get the ending, it says, hey, do you want to go back and play so you can make it so you don't have to play the whole game again? You can see both choices, which I love. Because I was like, okay. Yeah. So it's not like shit, I wish I could, I guess I'll go on YouTube and see what the other ending is. No, because once the ending plays out, they say, hey, do you want to go back and see what the other choice was? And I'm like, well, fuck yeah. Because one choice, obviously, yes, is the bad choice. And it's very much a cutscene. Leon dies. Very bloody, and just Grace gets away. He saves Grace. He's like, at least I can save you. And it's very heartbreaking. But the real ending is Grace releases Elpis, and the guy who looks like Albert Wesker, Zeno, injects himself thinking he's going to become powerful. And lo and behold, he lost all his powers. Now Leon can kick his ass. And then you get to the other guy, Gideon, and you have a final boss fight with him. So it's basically, it's just amazing. It's funny how they play with your thoughts of what Resident Evil is, how they play with like, oh, how is this going to fit in? Because you joked like, where's Wesker's son? Is he gonna? Because you don't know who's going to pop in this. So going back, I think the other big thing was going back to Raccoon City. Obviously, that was teased in a demo, an early trailer, and I was like, everyone was excited to see that. And obviously, it was full of Easter eggs, which is also why I was worried Leon was not going to make it out of this game alive. But there is one Easter egg, which me personally, the presentation, I hated. I just felt did not fit, weirdly enough, and that was the tofu.
Yes.
To those who don't know,
that's actually in the main game.
I came across it in the main game, not knowing. And first of all, those who don't know who tofu is, it's a block of tofu. You can unlock them like during certain things, and then you can do certain challenges, mercenaries. It's a fun side thing. Like okay, let me beat it with the tofu in 2 hours with just a knife. That was the challenge. So
yeah, dude, people would do that. People back in the day would send in videotapes of themselves doing it, like recording themselves on video. beating the game in 2 hours with a knife as Tofu. Like that shit was crazy.
And I wasn't even sure at first what happened. And I'm like, oh, let me go. And I'm trying to go around the building. I'm trying to figure out what it is. And then I come back inside and I don't know how it always pops up, but it does. And then I see it. I'm like, is that the fucking tofu? I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And it's just peeking in everyone's seen the videos. It peeks in the window. I shot it because I was like, is there something I can do with it? And it was frustrating me. I'm like, nope, it's just there. Like it did not fit in this. Now to me, because when Leon gets sick, like he kind of, hallucinates a little bit or just things kind of turn. I think they could have put tofu as an Easter egg, maybe in like a dream sequence or something. It just felt off. And I know people were like, oh, they were happy. But I'm like, no, I just did not. I felt it did not fit in this game. But that was just me. And it was just it was a fan service, but they could have done it differently because now it's like tofu is now Resident Evil lore, actual Resident Evil lore.
Oh, absolutely.
Main entry. I'm very interested where they go with 10 because if Chris and Leon now team up, fuck it. They need a co-op game, Soto. We need a new co-op Resident Evil. We need
Leon. Yeah, well, it's going to be hard for them to go away from this horror thing because that horror thing is really what brought them back. And I'm talking about like the first person stuff that started in 7, 8.
Yeah.
And then obviously 9, you have the option with Grace. I get my question is my first question, and then I want to do a follow-up question. But my first question is like, are we done with Raccoon City? Like,
yes.
Have we got it out of our systems? Okay.
Well, from what I can tell, again, it ends because you released Elpis. That was the last thing Spencer worked on. I also felt Leon was the perfect fit to go back to Raccoon City because, you could have made it Chris, you could have made it, Claire, any of that shit. But Leon, obviously, with what he went through and him going back and even seeing his happy birthday band or happy birthday, welcome Leon, it was a nice little touch. But I do feel that there is no more story at Raccoon City. This was a good final story. But where they go from here, who knows?
Yeah.
So,
all right. And my follow-up question is, what's the inventory situation like?
So the inventory situation is different between both playthroughs. Well, obviously, with Grace, a kind of more of the old school where your slots are limited, but you don't have a lot of guns to carry with Grace, and you don't need them if you do things properly. You can kind of craft certain things where if you can get behind a zombie, you can stab it and it instantly dies. So you can craft to your play style. If your inventory gets a little bogged up, you can either put it in a chest because it's all like the old school. You can either craft to your style. You can craft ammo, or the same thing can craft that if you want to be sneaky and just one shot a zombie. If you're like, well, I want to go in guns blazing, get more blood, blah, 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 that's great. Because again, you play how you want to play. With Leon, it's one big fucking suitcase. Very Resident Evil 6 style where you don't have to worry about shit. And even if your suitcase gets full, you're like, all right, I'll just because I had so much. And I'm like, oh, I can't pick this up. All right, let me craft shotgun shells. And the good thing is, remember how you had to like move like certain items to each like slot, maneuver it to fit the suitcase? Just like hold Tetris, just hold L3 and it auto does everything for you. It makes it all nice and neat. You don't have to worry. You're like, because after a while, as you're using things, it kind of gets like these weird, like you said Tetris, that one little hole. You're like, fuck, no, just hold L3's auto. You don't have to worry a thing. But no, with Leon, there is no trunk like with Grace. They mix and match, and it works. That's how the inventory system works. You would probably enjoy Leon because you don't have to worry about it. You're like, shit, you just carry everything. I don't know where that briefcase is on his body when you're fighting zombies. Because if you really think logistically, you're like, well, I have a shotgun, I have a machine gun, I have a rifle, I have a handgun, I have this gun, now I have Requiem, I have the, so you're like, I don't know how he's carrying 7, 8 guns in there and carrying it while fighting zombies, but he's doing it. So
that's the game rules. So you're like, and I accept it.
I don't mind it. Some of them you have unlimited inventory. Think about Final Fantasy. You're just like, fuck it, I have everything. How do you carry that shit and wield the sword? But it's game logic, and we just go with it. Before I end this, I do want to bring up one thing which we talked about a little bit before we officially started recording, and it's a fun little. You might not have realized it happened because I didn't until afterwards when I saw it on the internet and videos, and I didn't go through all like the arts and stuff like that. But yeah, so obviously the canon ending, Leon gets cured, he saves the day. He makes sure Grace is okay. She's fine. You don't know what's next for these two. And then he takes off his gloves and he reaches in his pocket, and you kind of like it's quick. You don't really get a good close up, so you will miss it. But I guess he puts on a wedding ring.
Yeah.
Leon S. Kennedy is married, and now people are wondering, who is he married to?
Yeah, subtle.
Because everyone's thinking Ada or Claire. But here's the thing: I'm on the Claire boat right now because on his gun he does have like the symbol of what was on the back of Claire's jacket. I know a lot of people have seen it. But let me give you a quick story perspective why I think that. Every time Leon's been in a Resident Evil 246, who has come to save the day? Who has come to cross paths with them one way or another to help him out? Ada Wong. One way or another, she's there. She's not there in this one. This is the first game with Leon that Ada is not a part of, at least in the main story. I know there's 2 DLCs. I've heard like one's Leon, one's Alyssa Ashcroft, which is fine. So maybe Ada will appear with the Leon, or maybe we'll get that answer. But if you're just looking at this game, Ada Wong does not appear. And I'm just wondering if he's like, you know what? She was kind of my fling thing. But he knew Claire. He's like, I can settle down with Claire. So that's why I'm thinking Claire, because Ada was nowhere to be found in this game. When she's always been there, always been there with Leon. So
interesting,
but
very interesting.
That is the conspiracy, which we may not get answered until DLC or Resident Evil 10. So who knows? But I think they did right by Resident Evil 9, especially after all the things that happened 7, 8. And I love 7. I thought 7 went back to the horror roots after 5 and 6. And I just did not like the fact that you never saw Ethan Winter's face. And I know they were trying to do that as a choice, but I think that's why personally we could not, connect to him as well. We saw Mia and what she went through from 7 to 8. And I think we more connected with her than Ethan Winters. Yeah. Whereas with Grace, because even though first person, third person, the cutscenes, they showed her, what she went through with her mom, and she's FBI and why she's here. And she acts like she does, like, why me? What's going on? I liked it. And whether or not you ever play it, if it becomes cheap or free. Any final questions before we end this talk?
No, you answered it. You answered everything. Again, I just, I mean, I pretty much know, I know everything I need to know about Resident Evil. And, like you mentioned, if it's free, I might check it out. I would love to play some remakes. I'd love to play the first one, the remake for that. I'd like to get back into it. But again, I'm never in the mood for a horror game. So thank you for taking the bullet and playing this one.
Oh, I'll always play a Resident Evil game, and I can't wait for the new remakes. And yeah, I might revisit some old school ones. I've been thinking about replaying the first one. Actually, the director's cut. That's, I think, the closest to the original that we can play. Maybe you just tip your toes in the first one. Maybe you stream it, have a little fun. Get pissed at the controls because it is going to be 10 controls.
So annoying. Yeah.
It is. But that's the way you got to play it. So thank you for listening. And yeah, if you get a chance, play Resident Evil 9 and let me know what you think and what you expect from Resident Evil 10 in what might be 3 years. So